somehow Modi government doesn't get majority, Nitin Gadkari could be the ideal face for a prime minister. It would be a great thing to happen, etc. And today people are against him. So I'm not saying Prime Minister Modi is corrupt or not corrupt. I'm not getting into that at all. But every third person likes to talk politics. And everybody thinks that I have an idea of what Modi should be doing, what Rahul should be doing, what Chandrababu Naidu should be doing. Everybody has an idea of what our leader should be doing. ऐसा क्या है गुड़गांव में कि वहाँ पे सेम स्क्वायर फुट के एरिया का रेट जस्टिफाई होता है जो कि न्यूयॉर्क में होता है.
In Nordic countries, even in schools, they teach you how to validate the source of information, how to think laterally, critically, which are missing in Indian school curriculum.
Yeah, United States has a very high percentage of educated people, right? Still, when Trump says that, okay, these tariffs are being paid for by India, China, etc. Americans who are paying $200 billion to the US government as tariffs.
What's your opinion on India becoming a developed nation by 2047? Do you see that dream realistic?
I believe that what we are doing is really wrong in terms of how we tax our people and companies. Why do I say that? हम जो स्ट्रक्चर जो फॉलो करते हैं उसमें ब्लैक मनी बनता ही बनता है.
Pleasure to have you on the show, Jayant. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. Nice to meet you and good to have you in Delhi.
Same here, pleasure. So, मैं आपको पहले चाइना लेके चलता हूँ. So let's start from decoding. What's the core difference between how China had built its industries versus how India is doing it now?
It's a fundamental difference. I mean, in China, it was always about national capacity building. In India, it was always about meeting the needs of its people. So the objectives were very different. When it comes to national capacity building, it is not just about meeting your domestic needs. It is about meeting your national objectives. If your national objectives are that you want to compete with the US and be one of the major economies globally, then when you say capacity building, your capacity is always meant for the world domination. And when you say that you need to meet the needs of your own people, as was the thing in India, then you were always building capacities from the Indian market and Indian people in mind. So whatever we did, be it on the government side or on the private sector side, things were that way only. So for example, if in India a D2C brand comes up, at least so far the story has been such that if the brand comes up for the next 5, 7, 10 years, it's going to be a domestic brand. Then probably some of them will probably try to go abroad. And even when they go abroad, they will probably try to target markets where there is a significant Indian diaspora. For example, markets like Singapore or UAE, these become the key first markets for these. And take any player out there, be it Lenskart or even big ones like Tanishq, everybody's going to those markets first, right? Even in the US, when they go and foray, for example, Tanishq has forayed into US in a big way. If you go to the US, the stores are in particular pockets where it's all Indian diaspora. Otherwise, Tanishq has not really made significant inroads abroad. What I'm trying to say is that this is about more of a DNA that, okay, you're building for the domestic mindset in mind, domestic market in mind. Go to China, you find brands like, say, Miniso. Miniso you see everywhere in India, right?
Yeah.
So, can you imagine that within 2 years of going live as a brand, basically within 2 years of the brand being born, it was an international company, it was going abroad. What I'm trying to say is they were building for the global capacity in mind. They were building from the global perspective in mind. And it's not just Miniso. Even the smallest of businesses there, when people start to build them, they are built from the mindset that, okay, they are not building for the Chinese market alone. Oftentimes, they are not building for Chinese market at all. What they are doing is building for the foreign markets.
So was that mindset ingrained somehow by the political class over the years, or how was it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, from day one, the policies were also designed such. So, for instance, if you are exporting, government gives you back credits. That helps you make more money in terms of your tax savings and everything else. It is a critical nudge from the government that, hey, you have to become an export-focused enterprise to get these benefits. And then businesses, of course, try to optimize that with that, okay, if we export, we are going to make more money because the government is going to give us significant benefits that locally oriented businesses do not really get access to. And then businesses go that way. In India, that was not really the focus area.
We missed that in the formula.
Yes. We only started to do that probably towards 1995, 2000 and that too in a very piecemeal manner. And it is only now that we are going more and more towards that mindset. But even today, it's something that we do it in very bits and pieces approach. because again, it becomes a political problem as well, because a lot of people come out and say that, hey, you are trying to be a crony capitalist benefiting the private sector, and those things happen. In China too, those problems could have arisen, but they have done one very intelligent thing. So for example, out there is a broadline policy for the sector, every single sector out there, in which it's very clearly demarcated that, okay, if you invest so much, if you meet these targets, this is what you're going to get. In
So
India,
incentives driven.
yes. In India, incentives will be given, but you have to sit down with the government every single time, negotiate a different pact for you. So for example, if you're setting up a steel plant in Maharashtra, right? You being one company, me being another company, we'll both be in a process where we'll sit down with the state government, negotiate a term of incentives, a set of incentives for ourselves. And even though we'll both be setting up similar capacity, similar ambitions, but we'll be getting different set of incentives. Why? You are negotiating, I'm negotiating, your negotiating abilities might be different, mine might be different. So for example, there is a group called JSW from Sajjan Jindal, right? He's setting up a massive EV and lithium-ion battery project in Maharashtra. So imagine for this project, he has managed to attain a commitment from the state government that he'll be receiving 110% of the capital investment that he's making in the form of SGST returns, which means that, so every time any GST is paid, right, half of it goes to the center, half goes to the state. What the state is basically saying is that half of whatever comes to me, half share, right, if it's coming from you, I'll refund it to you all the way up to the limit that 110% of whatever investment you're making is given back.
So
what I'm trying to say is, do you think I will be able to get similar benefits? Do you think you will be able to get those benefits?
It's not uniform.
Exactly. That's where the problem becomes that, okay, this is crony capitalism. In China, this is not the case. Clearly defined set of incentives for every different criteria. If you meet those criteria, you get it, irrespective whether you're Sajjan Jindal, you, me, or somebody else.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Which is more sustainable? It's
sustainable. It's also more equal. And more importantly, it doesn't get the political backlash. Right? People don't say that, hey, you are favoring certain people above others. That never becomes a problem.
Yeah.
It's as simple as this simple policy. If you have the capability to dream big and deliver big, we can give you greater set of incentives to make those happen. Out there, the state has demarcated that as a policy. Out here, that is still missing. So out here, what we hear is that governments talk about supporting industries, but when it comes to giving them incentives, it becomes a policy of let's sit down and discuss to see what I can give you, what I cannot give you.
But that's negotiation more than a
Absolutely.
policy.
And this is one particular reason why states like Gujarat or Tamil Nadu have done really well. Why? Because they have always focused on the China model in this respect. There is a policy for everything, and they are the first ones to come out with policies. So for example, you might have seen that all these semiconductor investments have primarily gone to Gujarat alone over the last 3 years, right? Everybody says that this is because the Gujarat has double engine government, both ways, BJP, center supports it, etc. That might be true to an extent, but here there is something else to consider, which people often miss. Gujarat was the first of all states to come out with a dedicated semiconductor policy, where it was clearly said that, okay, if you want to set up a semiconductor plant of any kind, be it OSAT, ATMP, or a chip fab, these are the set of incentives you are going to get. We are going to give you land of this much at this particular kind of a discount to the market rates. We are going to give you power at this tariff, which is a discount to the market by this much percent. Everything was already put out. So room for sitting down and negotiating, that was never the case.
It's more inviting as a state.
Yeah, there is a transparent approach via which people know that, okay, what to expect. Then people saying that, okay, I want to set up a semiconductor fab. Here is Gujarat, which is offering me a clear-cut policy, but I also want to explore setting up in, say, Odisha or Telangana. So for that, what will I have to do? I'll go down to that state, have a meeting with the chief secretary or the ministry secretary, then basically have a lot of conversations over the next 6 months. Then we'll probably arrive at certain conclusions that I will then take to the other state and negotiate with them to see if I can get something better. In Gujarat, that's not the case, right? There is a clear-cut policy. This is what we can offer you. And it's already put in the paper. Now, if the government offers something more, it becomes a political problem for them.
Yeah.
But if government decides that, okay, I want to give something less, that's not possible. It's the same policy for everybody.
Yeah.
Same is the case with Tamil Nadu. Good thing is, certain governments in our country have now begun to walk that path, bringing out clear-cut policy on incentives or benefits for different industries, be it on services side or goods side, and that's a positive trend. So, for example, when it comes to semiconductors alone, the first state to bring out a semiconductor policy was Gujarat, next was Tamil Nadu, third was Odisha, and then a few more states basically followed, including Assam, which came later. Now, when it comes to space tech, again, first state to come out with a space sector policy to attract all these space sector investments was Gujarat. Then basically suddenly your Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, they also jumped in that, hey, they have taken a lead. They should not be able to take away all the projects just like it happened with semiconductors. So let us bring out a policy very, very quick. So now that's changing because the states are also competing amongst themselves. More of them are competing, especially when it comes to southern and western states. They are very, very competitive. So they're doing that. So we are seeing certain states champion the China-like model out here. And that's
And
a very...
that works.
That has delivered everywhere, even in India. So Gujarat and Tamil Nadu are success stories, and it
Yes.
shows for itself, right? And they are championing that particular model. Of course, not everything is like China, but a lot of things are. I mean, I don't know whether it was Forbes or what, but in 2011, it had come out with a report that it was about Gujarat, and it basically talked about how here is India's China in the making. Back then, it was not a double-engine government, right? It was a BJP government in Gujarat and a government which did not like it at all in power in the center.
Yeah.
And yet it was that. So people often say that, okay, Gujarat is what it is because there is a support from the center right now. But Gujarat has been a leading state for much longer than that.
Yeah. Even before 2014, it was there from 2000 to 14, around 2 decades.
I mean, people don't realize that Gujarat is a state that powers about 33% of all of India's exports when it comes to the merchandise and goods part.
Whereas India's total is around 1.7, if I'm not wrong. Whereas China is around 20.
So India's total goods and merchandise exports is something close to $450 billion a year. And of that, 33% comes from Gujarat. And even if you remove all the refined oil exports from there, it is still 16%. And at 16%, Gujarat remains number one exporter out of India. Number two is Maharashtra at close to 15.57%. Then comes Tamil Nadu at something close to 15%. So point is, if you take all of Gujarat's exports, take half of it away, even then Gujarat remains number one. That has not happened over the last 10, 11 years. It has been a long-term success story. And there is a lot that we can learn from how a citizen-friendly or a business-friendly government can actually deliver. And this is not really about Gujarat alone. This is something that I've seen in Tamil Nadu as well. They have done a very, very remarkable job when it comes to industries. And there is one more aspect of it, which is again very, very similar to China. Gujarat and Tamil Nadu have done one thing which is called cluster-led development. What does it mean? So think of it this way. When you go to China, if you want anything to do with electronics, you go to Shenzhen. If you want anything to do with furniture, you go to Fujian. If you want anything to do with AI or tech, you go to either Shanghai or you go to Beijing. Right? There are clear demarcated areas which are dedicated kings and queens of particular things. Go to Gujarat, go to Tamil Nadu. It's the same story playing out there. So if you want anything to do with textiles, you go to Tirupur. Or in Gujarat, you go to Surat.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? If you want to do anything with gems and jewelry, you go to Surat. Right? If you want anything to do with automobiles, there is a dedicated 1-2 pockets in Tamil Nadu, which basically contribute to close to, you can say, more than half of India's all the EV production today. Similarly, when it comes to things like, say, smartphone production, there is one small pocket called Sri Perumbudur in Tamil Nadu, where much of the magic happens in Tamil Nadu. Similarly, in UP, much of the magic when it comes to electronics manufacturing is just Noida. Right? So what I'm trying to say is this is called cluster-led development. And the beautiful thing is that, so unlike in Karnataka, where Bengaluru is where everything happens, in case of Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, it's much more diversified. So take Gujarat. There is Morbi, there is Rajkot, there is Ahmedabad, then there is this, there is that, there is Surat, there is Vadodara. There are so many areas. The benefit is people don't have to move outside their places. Right? People find jobs and work, good paying jobs, where they are living or around it. right? It becomes a much more sustainable economy, and it ensures that development reaches far and wide. It's a diversified economy, right? Compare that to models that states like, say, for example, my state, Haryana, right? Compare it to that. Compare it to something like, say, West Bengal, where much of the economy is basically just 1-2 places like Kolkata.
Yeah.
Right? Compare it to places like Telangana, where much of the economy is just Hyderabad.
Yes.
Or a place like Karnataka, where much of the economy is just Bengaluru.
Even from within the states, other districts, people do come to the city.
They have to come to. I mean, think of it this way,
Kolkata,
right?
Yeah.
I love to put out this stat wherever I go. In Karnataka, if you take Bengaluru's per capita income, and then you take all the other districts, none of them have a per capita income greater than 1/4 of Bengaluru.
The whole of Karnataka.
Yes. None of them have a per capita income which is even a fourth of Bengaluru.
It's not diversified.
It's not at all diversified. Result is what happens. So when the people from rest of Karnataka need a job, right, much of them end up flocking to Bengaluru. It's not a fault of theirs. Their politicians have basically failed in bringing them opportunities to their place. So they go to Bengaluru. And when they see that, okay, much of the jobs out here are basically being taken care of by people who are not really Kannadigas, right? Yeah. And these people then find it difficult to find jobs because they are also competing for the jobs in their very state.
Yeah.
They believe that problem are these North Indians or West Indians or East Indians who are coming here and taking up
in
a
way, same as Trump is driving this message to his own countrymen.
This is what politicians do everywhere when they have to drive away the blame. It's the politicians, be it BJP, Congress, or any party. Yeah. It's they who are at fault.
Shifting the blame.
Yeah, other reason. It's these people whose job it was to ensure that jobs are found not just in Bengaluru, but also in Mangalore, in other parts around Bangalore, and also in the very far and distant regions of the state. Right? It never happened. And it's very easy to say that, hey, it's not very easy to do that, but there are states which have done it. Of course, one could say that states like Tamil Nadu or Gujarat have a coast, and as a result, they are, it's easier for them to build, you can say, export-led economy. But again, if you think of it, there are a lot of success stories across the globe where countries without any coastal
without any resources
have actually done it.
Yes.
Yeah. So my point is very simple. It's more about having smart enough leaders, right, who are true in intent. I mean, I'm not saying try to find people who are not corrupt. I don't think such leaders exist at all in our country, at least, or even otherwise. But even if somebody is corrupt, if their intent is right, a higher or a better outcome can be expected out of them. And we have seen that play out in multiple states. But states like Karnataka, Haryana, these have been very sad stories in that respect. So I always put it this way, Gurgaon is a success story, Haryana is not. Bengaluru is a big success story, Karnataka is not. Hyderabad is a big success story, Telangana is not. It's just that way. But Tamil Nadu is a success story. Gujarat is a success story. Maharashtra, to a big extent, is a success story. And that is how we should be looking at it.
But we are not like an European Union or an Indian Union, but it's an like different states, amalgamation of states that we are having different policies, different ways of doing things. So how can we put it as whole of India on a policy level, trying to do things differently?
So think of it this way, boss. It's very, very simple. In the end, the bottle comes down to the people. The people of Bihar, India's most backward state. Even 25 years back, it was one of the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
Right? It was, in fact, the very bottom of the pile. Yeah. Even today, it is the very bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
25 years back, along with Bihar, there was a state called Madhya Pradesh. Today, MP is no more called a Bimaru state.
Yeah, it is not.
Right? MP has come up significantly. It's still not a great success story, but it has come out significantly.
Yeah.
It's because they got some leaders who had a very different vision of how they want to build the state, its economy, and that model led to birth of certain very, very metropolitan areas where industry-friendly policies came up and a lot of investments were concentrated. And the result is we got places like Bhopal, Indore, Gwalior, which now form significant magnets in attracting more and more investments from abroad as in from other states. And result is we are seeing a very different state come out. Right? Same has not happened in Bihar. Right? Ideally, it should be the people of Bihar who tell their government that, hey, you have built roads for us over the last 20 years. Thank you for that. We did not have any roads. So we are grateful. You got us better electricity, better water connections. Thank you for that. But that's not the only definition of development. Ideally, over the last 25 years, we should also have elevated ourselves from the bottommost state to somewhere towards the middle, or at least in that journey. It has not happened. So what are your policies that are very different from those other states? Let's recalibrate. None of those things have happened, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Bihar is a problem. What I'm saying is that whenever certain state does something right, other states should emulate. It's not about having a common template for all. It's about all the states learning from each other.
But
In
again,
fact,
intentions does matter.
obviously, it's all about intent, right? In fact, if you think of it, when people say that, okay, we are not like a China or something, I say it's a good thing. Why? In China, it's a common mandate that comes out and percolates down to every single province.
State-based.
Out here, we have the freedom to say that, okay, here is a policy that we want to pilot in, say, Tamil Nadu. If it works, then we'll replicate across the states. Right? We have that freedom. Problem is, if something works out in Tamil Nadu, maybe 4 or 5 other states will follow and try something similar, or maybe different versions of it. Most of the other states don't. Why? Because they are more busy about, why care? Our governments are working.
Yes.
We are going to be in power for the next 5 years, probably even next 5 years after that. So why really care?
Yeah.
Let's focus on things that are going to ensure that our power quotient remains the same. No risk comes to it. And that is how things work.
But we have
In
been
fact-
busy every 5 years, like who will win, who will come to power, and in that race, the intent and everything takes a backseat.
I have two different opinions on it. Does 5-year election cycle create problems? Answer is a definite yes. There are a lot of problems associated with it because it causes significant disruptions and investments take a hit, and it leads to a lot of hodgepodge as well. Think of it this way. It boils down to the very smallest of things. For example, every 5 years, every state, national level, whenever a government changes, all
Trust.
the universities that come under them, they see a change of director as well. Why? Because the directors of different colleges are also a political appointee.
Okay.
People don't know about it. What I'm trying to say is that
Even the government universities, or
I'm talking about government institutions.
Okay.
For example, I come from IIIT Gwalior. The director would change every time a government changes. Right?
Just like the police commissioner and
Absolutely,
DGPs.
absolutely. What I'm trying to say is that every time the government changes, imagine universities' head is also getting changed. Right? Imagine how many things are getting changed. It's just one, not just one university. Every single institution, their operator gets changed. As a result of which, what is going to be done out there also changes. Right? It's a big change in policies, in how the institutions interact with the people out there every 5 years. It's a big mayhem. Right? So every 5 years, when a new leadership comes in, right, you have to give them at least a year to settle down and say that, okay, now we have figured out what the mess previous time was and what we are going to do. These are the policies. A year is spent that way.
Yeah. And often you don't know whether the policy will continue or not, right?
Of course you don't know, because all you know is that 4 years down, leadership is again going to change. You don't know whether they will continue with the policy or not.
Yeah.
Right? So that is a big problem. On the other hand, there is also a positive side of it. So think of it this way. I hail from Rajasthan. Right? Natively, I'm from Rajasthan. I've been going there since my childhood every single year. I can say it with a lot of pride that my Rajasthan's state highways are better than most of the national highways in this country. Wherever you go, the state highways are totally pristine.
Yes.
Now, of course, people can say that it rains less there and those factors are not there. But all things aside, Indian bottom line is that if a road was good 20 years ago, the state highways are still good 20 years down. And whatever new highways are coming up, they are pristine quality. Right? These might be 2-lane, 4-lane highways, but they are no potholes, no patches, no cracks anywhere. It speaks for itself. Despite over 50 degree, 55 degree of heat that falls on those very roads every single year. Right? Now consider this. These are state highways built by the state government, and for the longest time that you can imagine, Rajasthan has seen a government change every 5 years.
Yeah.
So there's a pressure on your head that somehow if you are going to deliver good, maybe we'll see ourselves coming back to power again. And then the streak will be broken and we'll be in power for straight 10 years and then probably for 15 years. Everybody performs that way, right? I'm not saying everything in Rajasthan is happening in a good way. A lot of problems with this 5-year changes. But when it comes to roads, it speaks for itself, right? Why has that not happened at the national level? We have had a government in power for 12 years now, almost 11 and a half years, right? A star minister out there, Mr. Nitin Gadkari ji, somebody who until last year, until this entire backlash against ethanol thing happened, until last year people were saying that if somehow Modi government doesn't get majority, Nitin Gadkari could be the ideal face for a prime minister. It would be a great thing to happen, etc. And today people are against him.
Yes.
Right. What happened? Here was a star minister that people were really vying to see as a prime minister of India. Why every single highway or expressway his team basically builds ends up with cracks, patches, potholes within 3 months to 6 months? Look at Delhi-Bombay Expressway. I just commuted on it today when I was from Faridabad to Noida commute, right? And I use it very often. It's hardly been a year and a half old that this segment of the expressway was opened. It's already full of potholes where patches have been put in place. Why?
How do you see the problem? Like, is it corruption, the bureaucracy, or how do you analyze it?
It's not just bureaucracy that is corrupt. You think of it this way. Corruption flows from top down, right? So think of it this way, that if the man at the very top wants to make money, right? It's the people beneath him who have to be in conduit, which basically means in agreement that, okay, I'm going to make money, but you have to assure me that you won't spill the beans. You won't tell anybody. So they also end up benefiting from it. So I never agree to the idea that, okay, it's the bureaucracy which is the problem.
But sometimes I have a different opinion. What I have seen is sometimes even if the leader is not corrupt, still people under him find a way to make money.
How do you decide that a leader is not corrupt? Or is that a perception of yours that this leader is really good, he is not a bad guy?
For example, let's talk straight about PM Modi. He may not be corrupt, at least that's the perception, but people under him or the bureaucrats, they still find a way to make money.
I disagree with you. So I'm not saying Prime Minister Modi is corrupt or not corrupt. I'm not getting into that at all. What I'm trying to say is that he knows that his job is to be in power to ensure that whatever his ideal India is, to achieve that, he has to be in power.
Yeah.
For him to be in power, the way this country runs, he needs access to a lot of money. And money of that sort can come to BJP only if it supports certain people and gets the access to the money.
You cannot have all ministers full of integrity.
So as they say, politics is a dirty job. And think of it this way, right? My concept is very simple. I believe that Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, has a certain idea of India. He's somebody who sacrifices family, everything aside, to build the India of his dreams. Whether everybody likes his ideal India or not, it's a very different concept. But he is there to build idea of India that he has been working on for over 60 years.
Yeah.
Right? Since when he basically got into the public life via RSS and everything. He is here to do that. Now, if he is here to do that, he can only achieve it if he is on that seat, if he's in power.
If you're not in power, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, to be in power, he has to ensure whatever needs to be done has to be done so that I can keep on pursuing my agenda, whether it takes 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So as a result, he has to do certain things which might not be right. And I'm not saying this is just about Prime Minister Modi. This is the thing about every single leader out there.
Yeah.
So if Congress wants to build a socialist India, it has to be in power to achieve that. For that, it will do a 10 number of things which are not really ideal. And this is how every single politician operates.
Yeah, across the globe.
Yes. You might have your ideals that you want to achieve, but at the same time, you also have to stay in power to do that. For which you have to support certain people who might not be good for you.
Understood.
Right? And that is how it works. So this is how things have worked even in the past. And this is what Chanakya Niti also talks about. That your end goal is not to just go to the bed thinking that, okay, I did the right thing. Your end goal is to achieve the good for the state, for which you have to be in power, for which if you have to do certain things which are not right, it's acceptable. That is what Chanakya Niti basically teaches. So this is what people in China also did, right? Deng Xiaoping or Mao. Mao was a very bad outcome of it, but Deng Xiaoping did very same thing. He was like, okay, I'm going to accept certain vices as long as it drives the greater outcome. Same is the thing that basically people did in Singapore under Lee Kuan Yew. He accepted a few bad things, a few bad aspects of capitalism to ensure that he can build a merit-based, high-growth society, which can achieve a low-income to high-income status within a gap of just 2 generations. It has never been done before, right? So when you have somebody in power who has an ideal to achieve, to be in power, they have to do certain things, and they do it. Major problem is, how can you ensure that the things that you have to tolerate for this, right, they can be kept in check? Right now, it has gotten to a point where, in my personal eyes, certain ministries which are very crucial, like say our roads and highways ministries, have really failed to deliver.
Okay.
You're building more and more highways and expressways, which is really laudable and much needed as well. In a significant infra deficit country like India, it's a big need. But what's the point of building these highways and expressways if they end up with cracks, potholes within a span of 3 months, 6 months, a year of being going live, right? I don't have a problem with them taking a toll after all the taxes. Happily take the tolls, because those tolls will help ensure that, okay, you can build even more number of expressways and highways, which is a big need. So I get it. My problem is at least just ensure that whatever is being built in the end, it lasts. And whenever people complain that, okay, our weather is harsh or very tough summers, very cold winters, a lot of rainfall because of which these things happen. I mean, our BRO, Border Roads Organization, builds great expressways, roads in the most harshest of terrains. Those never really go wrong, right?
That's true.
And world over this has been done. It's something specific to India that goes wrong. And that is to be talked
quality,
about.
the mindset of quality.
Absolutely. And again, don't go anywhere. Look at Rajasthan, state highways, pristine, right? Something that can be done out here.
How effective has been the Make in India, according to you, compared to that of, again, I'll bring China, because it scaled all the industries simultaneously, with R&D, logistics, manufacturing. So we are talking about manufacturing now.
Yeah.
But how effective has been Make in India overall? How do you analyze it?
Overall, it's been a big grand failure. In certain segments, it's also been a big grand success. Let me explain how. In 2003, manufacturing as a percentage of a GDP was 16%. In 2013, before the new government came in power and brought in Make in India policy, manufacturing as a percentage of GDP was 15%, down by 1%. And our government said that, you know what, by 2025, we are going to take it to 25%, which is a big, massive goal.
Yeah.
Right? Up to 2018, government was also talking about this number. Then they stopped talking about it because they knew this is not going to be achieved. But what's sad is, in 2025, manufacturing as a percentage of GDP has fallen to 14%. So, from 16% in 2003,
2% down.
Yeah, we are now at 13% in 2025, when the goal was to take it to 25%. So, outright on the numbers, it's been a big failure. Nothing more to be covered out here.
And what contributes to that failure?
It's more about how our private sector just refused to invest. And our government has really failed in bringing in the required investments from outside. It's very simple. So think of it this way. India gets a FDI inflow of close to about $70 odd billion a year. Of that, about $10 billion a year is something close to, is $10 billion is what basically is attracted by the startups, right? That startups, most of them are not into manufacturing, right? They are into, like, say, quick commerce,
startups.
these urban company, and doing a very good job, needed, but that's not manufacturing, right? So $10 billion is gone there. What it means, $60 billion. Of the $60 billion, a lot of FDI is basically what? Your transactions. So for example, a company is already operating, like our hospital sector, right? A lot of money is coming in to buy stakes in them. That's FDI as well, right? So you can say another $30-40 billion goes there. What basically remains is about $20 billion, right? $30 billion. Now that $20 to $30 billion is what remains. A big part out there also basically goes towards what? Deals, not real investments. As a result of which actual investments in manufacturing is not as high.
It's not affecting the real economy.
Absolutely not. It's very small number. So result is our economy growing much faster, but much of that is being driven by what? Either services or a bit by agriculture, right? Hence, the manufacturing's contribution to GDP as a percentage is only falling. Because effective investments into manufacturing is not rising, but services is growing much faster, agriculture is growing much faster, as a result of which economy is growing much faster, but manufacturing isn't growing. And that's a big problem.
Any solutions that you can think of?
No point in talking about that. Reason is, solutions is something that the government bodies themselves have been coming out with as a recommendation to different ministries since about 1990s. It's more about when do we implement on them. So for example, think of it this way. The 1991 reforms that we talk about, the work on them started under Rajiv Gandhi towards the end of his tenure, because they could see that, okay, India is getting into a very risky position in terms of balance of payments crisis, right? So the blueprint that was prepared then, that has also not been implemented to this very date, right? Only parts of it was implemented by Manmohan Singh ji over a course of 5 years, starting in 1991, which is called liberalization of India. And even that piecemeal approach by then Finance Minister Manmohan Singh ji brought about significant benefits, right? Imagine to this very day we have not been able to implement the whole of that structure. Since then, there have been a lot more recommendations that have come up. Every single one of them, piecemeal approach. So for example, say government comes out with farm laws, defeated. Right? They were actually pretty good laws. But there were certain ill motives which basically came into the way. It would have significantly benefited farmers across the board. Why? Because right now, almost 40% of whatever farm produce basically happens, it is wasted. It gets destroyed. Imagine 40%. It's a huge number, right? Why does that happen? Because there is not adequate amount of cold storage. Why is it not there? Because for cold storage, it's a significant investment which private sector has to come and make. And private sector will only come and invest that money if there is a reason for them to invest into food processing, which is vertical integration, right? They will only build cold storage if there is a need for it for themselves. For that to happen, there has to be easier procurement norms for them, and it benefits everybody. But given the farm laws were not passed and not implemented, none of this has happened. Hence, we are still wasting about 40% of our total agri produce as a waste. Nobody talks about it, right? What I'm trying to say is that solutions are already there. Government knows the solutions. It's more about politics and compromises which gets in the way.
Do you think democracy is a blocker?
It's not democracy that is in the block. I always say this. People often say that, okay, India grows slower than China or cannot do things that China is doing because we are a democracy. And this is an idiot's argument. I find it so funny that people are saying such things. Hey, South Korea is a democracy. Japan is a democracy. Look at what they have done, right? They did not have to become a dictatorship for a while to get it done. Those are called Asian tigers for a reason. For good 20, 30 years, they grew at 8, 9, 10%, 12%.
But see, if you don't see the end of the tunnel, so still continuing the same way, so it would continue for the next 30 years. So being a democracy, for example, still if you see the education, the quality of education, the whole ecosystem of how people are, we are having the schools, the kind of public school, public infrastructure, if still we remain a democracy for the next 30, 40 years, the same thing continues. It's kind of a loop.
It doesn't work that way, boss. Trust me. Dictatorships only deliver well.
So may not be dictatorship, something else, kind of a semi or any other.
I don't know what a semi basically would look like, right? I only know two examples. Either it's a dictatorship or authoritarianism. So it's a dictatorship like, say, Saudi Arabia, UAE, etc. Or it's a basically...
What about a dictatorship with a very right intent?
See, the problem... So, for example, in Venezuela, We had a dictatorship with a very right intent called Hugo Chavez. But the intent was backed with a lot of petrol resources.
Yeah.
There was oil which was bringing in the money to help achieve those outcomes. What happened when basically
Backfired.
petrol prices basically began to fall? The new leader who came in, he could not sustain that agenda. And he had to do certain things to remain in power, which were not really ideal. And the state basically fell off. It became a rogue state. Dictatorship with an intentful leader only lasts and brings good outcomes till the leader coming up next will also follow on with the similar principles.
that's
and that
true.
is never guaranteed.
Never guaranteed.
Right?
For example, anything can happen in UAE at
Yes,
any
absolutely.
point of time.
You never know. Right now, the Al Nahyans, the people who are running the entire ship, they have solid intent to grow this into something very, very big, much bigger than whatever it is today. The success story that it already is, they look at UAE becoming much bigger than that. They're working on that. They have a mission. What if someday there is a leader who don't have that mission, right? So it's about that. And we have seen the same thing play out in multiple different parts of the world where it was a dictatorial regime. There was a solid, intentful leader who drove great outcomes. But then there were people who did not. Look at China right now, right? It's working out very well for them. The only reason is there is a leader with an intent. And they've been very lucky because the system is such. Again and again, it has been electing such leaders. But this particular regime that it is now walking under, that is Xi Jinping's regime, it's a very different one. Why? Sort of rewiring that regime, which used to bring out a very good, intentful successor. What they have now done is that Xi Jinping gets to continue the regime for another 5 years and then possibly for even more 5 years. So now this is falling into a very different track. We don't know what China's story is going to look like 15 years down to 20 years down.
Sure, there is an uncertainty for sure. So
Absolutely.
Where I was coming from is how the succession planning has been in UAE or China, for that matter, that they still continue to find a leader as a succession who has the same intent, and the development also never stops. Unlike,
see, be it Qatar, UAE, Saudi, those are monarchies. There is no real succession planning out there. It's everybody knows somebody from the family who's going to come in, right? In the UAE's case, it's basically multiple different of those 7 emirates, and which basically work amongst themselves. But it's basically 7 families which are taking care of things, and they have no alternative. They have to keep on delivering because they know that if they don't deliver well, people are going to come after the monarch and the rule is going to end, like it has happened in multiple different parts of the world, right? Including Nepal, for example. Now, come to China, it's a very different story. In the end, they built a system which is completely based on merit, drives people from the grassroots, and 30-40 years down, they could become the president of China, right? It was a system which only picked the best to the peak. And good to their luck, for about 6-7 such instances, they were able to pick up very right set of leaders who delivered very well for China, elevating China to the status that it got to by 2011 or so. Then came in Xi Jinping, and he delivered well for the first 5 years. Next 5 years began to basically become challenging because his stance also changed with BRI and challenging the US and everything. Which is also sort of fair because China has risen in stature, and the goals that it is fighting for have to also change with time. They have to think bigger, of course. But it's getting harder. And for that, Xi Jinping thought that, if I can deliver it for another 10 years, and I can completely transform China into the number one in every single case, every single aspect, then I'll be the greatest leader to be born in the world, right? So he's on that course. Yes, it's a personal ambition now, which is getting becoming more and more of China's ambition now. So only concern is, what if this ambition, which is now becoming a personal ambition of somebody else, what if this goes wrong, right? What if China ends up in a state like Venezuela 20 years down? We can't really predict. And
suddenly
that becomes
you
a
get
big problem.
Leader like Kim Jong-un somewhere.
You never know. You just don't know, right? And this time, it won't be so you might say that, a leader like Kim Jong, but Kim Jong doesn't have the resources and the tech. China now has those. It can be a very different world.
Yeah.
Right? If Xi Jinping goes rogue. Now think of India. Right? We are protected from those things. Our only problem is we lack the leaders with intent.
Hmm.
So what I say is that it's a real big tragedy that in a country as big as India, where every third person likes to talk politics, and everybody thinks that I have an idea of what Modi should be doing, what Rahul should be doing, what Chandrababu Naidu should be doing. Everybody has an idea of what our leader should be doing. Somehow, we don't see an alternative to Prime Minister Modi.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, in 2014, Prime Minister Modi won because he was the solution to all of India's problems. Today, Prime Minister Modi wins because there is no alternative.
Yes.
And I know this might piss a lot of Rahul Gandhi fans, but the fact is, much of India doesn't see him as a solution even today. And they would vote against Congress even on their local elections just because it's Rahul Gandhi standing there. My question is not just to Congress and to other parties and including to BJP. What are you offering to the people of India? Just one or two leaders? You don't have any alternatives for the country. This is a joke. In a country of 145 crore people, why don't we have more options?
Because you don't have systems in place, no, to breed those leaders who can
Trust
come
me,
up
boss,
to the
systems did not breed good leaders. It's people with a different track in mind for themselves, which basically went on to do something different, which elevated their stature among people, and then they rose to become something big. No system could have predicted that, okay, this boy who sells chai with his father at a railway station in Gujarat can someday qualify to become a Prime Minister of India. It is his journey which got him there. I'm pretty sure there would have been a lot of people across these parties who have had those journeys, grassroots leaders.
No, I mean the systems within these national parties. For example, in Congress, even if there are leaders who are more talented than Rahul Gandhi, can they rise up to the stature of Rahul Gandhi and challenge him?
That is the problem.
That is the problem.
That is the problem. So somehow we have really failed. So see, I love Aam Aadmi Party for a reason. I really detest it for multiple reasons, but I like one thing about it, which is it gave birth to one more leader, one more alternative. Right?
No matter however the leader
I don't care about
later.
that. Why? Because it gives me hope that, okay, over the coming 10 years, 20 years, we can see probably 20 more such alternatives come up. One of which might be really good. Like Deng Xiaoping was to China, or Lee Kuan Yew was to Singapore, and so on. I can go on about
You're
it.
true. That really gives a hope. Like 5 such more parties like Aam Aadmi Party can come up. At least 1 or 2 leaders might be good.
Absolutely, boss. I mean, think about Tamil Nadu, right? Both the parties, be it the major parties, be it DMK or AIDMK, right? Both have had their own set of problems. But each one has been able to deliver strong on certain key areas in a unison manner. Result is we see Tamil Nadu, which is only growing. Right? Those leaders, if you think of it, one of the two parties is basically a party which would not have been in existence at all. It's because certain people, Jayalalitha's predecessor, then Jayalalitha, they chose that path. They were not career politicians. Their parents were not freedom fighters. Right? They were not born to be politicians. They chose that path. My problem is not every state has seen these leaders come up. Right? Ideally, it should be that, okay, every state should have seen their own set of, Chandrababu Naidu's come up, their own Arvind Kejriwal's come up. Let them rise. Right? Let them challenge the national parties and show that, okay, this is a model that you want to champion for a state, and this works, which then becomes a national story, and they become a really star of half of India, full of India. We haven't seen that play out, and that's a big sad story. In a country of 145 crore people, if there is just Prime Minister Narendra Modi and nobody who can basically stand as an alternative, that's a big problem. I find it so funny. I mean,
you have great leaders if you see in the corporate world. You have great thinkers in India as well. But for them to come into politics and then take the entire spectrum of power, do things, deliver, somehow it's not happening.
So see, you just change, number one, you just change the conversation. Number two, so see, it's a different problem, right? Think of it this way. We live in a country that is highly trust deficit.
What do you mean by that?
One brother doesn't trust his own brother.
Okay.
Right? We live in that kind of a country.
Okay.
Right? You expect, and most of those rivalries happen only because of one reason, because one brother makes more ends up making more money, and then basically differences come in, right? You expect me to vote for somebody who has 10,000 times more money than me, right? Somehow I might be doing 10 things that are not really ethical, but that is not a problem to me. Problem is that he has earned 10,000 times more money. He must have done a lot of wrong things. How can I make him the Prime Minister of India or Chief Minister of my state? So I won't vote for him, right? That is the mindset. We are a trust deficit society. If somebody has made more money than us or has done better than us in any other aspect, we only see it as a problem.
Envious.
We don't see that as a possible solution that, okay, this guy has done something amazing. Maybe he might have a blueprint to what our problems are. How can we solve them? Let's bring them to power.
No, we don't celebrate people who actually build organizations and make money. We see them as villains and jealous that why are they making more money. For example, I'll tell you Ramdev. He has built an organization, whatever he has done, Patanjali organization, but we still say, hey, he's a Baba, why is he making money?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, problem should be, hey, he's making money by selling wrong things. That isn't the problem. Problem is, hey, you were a Swami, you were a Baba teaching yoga.
How can you make money?
How can you be worth 50,000 crores? That's a problem to people. and that's something to solve for, right? I find it so funny that, so just yesterday, this is basically a Twitter thread where somebody basically pointed out that Amazon CEO makes $40 million a year, which is almost 380 times what an average Amazon employee makes a year. And how is this justified? And I was like, it is because of him that Amazon trades at a multiple $1 trillion market cap. Yeah. Do you think any of those other employees can drive it to that level? If yes, then let's pay them that. Right? So it's no longer about merit. Reward people on merit, celebrate them on merit, right? Don't look at their money. Talk about, do they have the caliber to drive outcomes better than most of the other people? If yes, then let's vote for them. Let's bring them to power. Let's reward them better. I don't have a problem at all. But in India, we don't vote on those metrics. We don't choose our leaders on those metrics. We just need one thing. We just need one thing, which is, does this leader speak very well? And when he's speaking, is he talking about things that make me go like, he's making sense? So, for example, if I'm going to announce, I don't have to give solutions. If I go to a rally today and announce that, you know what, if I come to power, I have blueprint in place to announce 20 lakh new government jobs on the very first day of my taking in office, which will be rolled out in a year, and will also be ensuring that all the females in my state are going to get 1 lakh rupees every single year. See the magic. Yeah. Nobody is coming and asking, how are you going to fund it? How are you going to do it? Nobody asks those questions because this is India.
The problem is again education, because you're not educated voters to understand the dynamics of how a business world operates.
I so disagree with you. See, education isn't the solution. Trust me. US is an educated country, right?
You mean to say it's more about people are I, me and myself and more selfish?
No, it's not that. So think of it this way. People think that education is a solution. It is not. Education is the ABC. It's the basics. What you do with those basics is totally different. So for example, United States has a very high percentage of educated people, right? Still, when Trump says that, okay, these tariffs are being paid for by India, China, etc., they are accepting those things. It's the Americans who are paying $200 billion to the US government as tariffs. A t-shirt which used to sell for say $5 in US before, is now being sold for $9. Who is paying that delta $4? It's the Americans. They are educated people. Don't they get it? Still they celebrate it. Why? They think that, okay, Trump ne bola sahi hai.
Affiliation, you mean?
It's not about education. It's about the ability to ask questions. Nothing else. It's asking, how are India and China paying the tariff? It's about asking, how are you going to give 1 lakh rupees to all the ladies? Where is the money going to come from?
But see, if you're educated, okay, let's keep aside education. What is it that's stopping people from asking questions then? Is it selfishness?
It's just about critical thinking, yeah. It's just about critical thinking. So think of it this way. One very simple example, right?
When the average critical thinking quotient is less.
Let's leave politics and everything aside. I'll give you a very simple example. So 2 years ago, every year Reliance Industries holds a AGM, right? I give this example to a lot of people that just 2 years ago, this AGM happens, Mukesh Ambani comes out and he says that, okay, we are launching Jio Air Fiber. right? His promise is that right now we have 1 crore customers for our Geo Fiber business. With Air Fiber, we will be able to 20x that number in the next 3 years. Everybody claps, everybody celebrates, everybody's talking about it. And my brain is like, 1 crore say 20x means 20 crore users. For every single such connection, they'll need at least an electricity connection. How many electricity connections exist in India? I do a Google search, find out from data from our power ministry that there are only 27 crore electricity meters in India. 27 crore electricity meters. इसमें झुग्गी झोपड़ी भी होगा, इसमें गवर्नमेंट बॉडीज भी होंगे, इसमें कॉर्पोरेट्स भी होंगे, सब कुछ होगा, राइट? सो 20 करोड़ का ओवरऑल मार्केट होगा मैक्सिमम, राइट? मैक्सिमम 20 करोड़ पीपल, 20 crore connections that you can sell. So you want to grow to 20 crore users when the market itself is 20 crores. How can that be possible? There's Airtel also competing, Tata is also competing, Vodafone also competing. There are also local players like in Hyderabad you have Act Fiber, a lot of such regional players. You'll probably get to 10 crore maximum, right? How can it be possible? So I wrote a very viral piece on it, on which I got a lot of backlash that you are attacking Mukesh Ambani, the builder of India. No, I'm just asking, what you said is not possible. What's the math behind it, right? Because making an announcement is cool.
No, here politicians can say anything and get away with it.
It's not just politicians. What I'm just telling you is that is the educated people who are watching the AGM. Is the investing class of India which is watching the AGM, celebrating that news, basis on which they are also investing their money. Nobody's asking, how is it possible?
So you mean to say critical thinking on an average is very low?
It's not just low, it doesn't exist in India.
It doesn't exist.
How many people do you see asking questions? No. If a news is announced, people write about it. People don't ask, is it making sense or not? And that's the big problem. Right? Nobody talks about it. So for example, now, I'm not just saying that our government is a problem. Think of it this way. Recently, a big narrative was basically peddled that our FDI has fallen negative. We are not getting any FDI at all. This was peddled by an account called Congress Kerala, Congress Party's, which is a very active Twitter channel. This was utterly fake news. Why? They talked about FDI when they were talking about net FDI. What does it mean? That India is investing more outside than it is attracting inside. Okay? That is what it means. Thing is India attracting, has India's FDI inflow fallen? Answer is no. It is only investing more. That was the reality. Why is it investing more? Because as a country evolves, as it businesses grow, right? As they would want to go global, they have to go and invest abroad. So Adani's, when they say that, okay, we are also going to build a port in Sri Lanka, they have to take out 5,000, 10,000 crores out of India and invest there.
Yeah.
That's the only way. When Reliance announces that, okay, we are going to build a petrochemical complex in the UAE in a partnership with Ras Al Khaimah government, they have to take out money from India and invest there. That is what is happening.
Yeah.
So is that a bad thing? Reliance going global, Adani going global, different Indian businesses going global. Is that a bad thing?
The other MNCs coming to India is the same way.
Yeah, plus that's a sign of evolving India, right? It's something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
But cherry picking data and circulating that narrative, that's a common thing. And what do people do? They don't ask questions. They don't ask why has it fallen? Or how this number has been calculated. Nobody asks that. What do they say? What have you done? No FDI coming to India. Very false narrative. Similarly, now talk about the government. What does our government say? That unemployment is just all-time low. Nobody asks how are the unemployment numbers measured. So it turns out when you measure the government's data that is coming out, which is periodic labor force survey numbers, turns out what they say is that they do a survey of people, and in that survey if they find somebody who says that I'm looking for work, and last week I was sitting on the side of the road waiting for somebody to come to me and say, hey, I need a labor for 1 hour, and if they're ready to pay me 50 rupees for it, I'm considered employed in this country. Is that really employment? Do you think a guy sitting on the road waiting for work and finding somebody to take his help for an hour or two of work on his godown, is that employment? It is not. But in a government's calculation, it is employment. That is how those numbers are calculated. Nobody asks these things.
The correct metrics of how to measure, how to calculate is
It's very
all over
simple,
the
boss.
place.
It's nothing at all. It's very simple thing. Me, you, the other people in this studio right now, or even otherwise in this country, we just have to asking questions. If you begin to ask questions, the other side begins to sit upright and say, okay. So I'll give you a very good example from my previous job. Right, I was working at Class Plus, and I had experienced something about 3.5 years. And Mukul, the founder, basically told me that, you know what, I'm too tight on a lot of things. You take the reviews of these VPs and AVPs for me.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, Prateek has experience of 15 years. He's going to eat me alive. Why will he take me seriously? And Mukul was like, all the questions that I asked them in the reviews, you are the one preparing them. So you ask them directly. They're like, but you are the founder. Well, no, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you asking them questions that make them sit up? Right? It's about that. So to your politicians, when do we start asking questions that make them, hey, ये question कहाँ से आया भाई? Answer पता है क्या? Does it make them say that, okay, let me come back to you? If no, then you are asking the wrong set of questions. The question should be not be, क्या आपको आम खाने पसंद है सर? Question should be, कि सर वहाँ पे जो आम इतने उगते थे वो वाले 1 लाख पेड़ काटने पड़ रहे हैं इस प्लांट के लिए.
करेक्ट.
उसका क्या सोल्यूशन है सर? एक बार आप ये सवाल जब पूछोगे ना सर, तो बहुत डिफरेंट करेंगे. देन योर पॉलिटिशियन सिट स्ट्रेट कि यार ये तो एक्सपेक्टेड ही नहीं था.
अभी मेरे को इधर उल्टा वो बोलते थे ना, क्या है, यथा राजा तथा प्रजा, ये यथा प्रजा तथा राजा. तो
absolutely. I mean, I always give an example. This one, that our media is totally botched up today. It's either in this pocket or that pocket. Most of it in one pocket. All of that is known to everybody. So when this Delhi election was happening, Kejriwal ji was going to all the politicians, not just Kejriwal ji, but everybody was going to every single news outlet, giving interviews, and all of that was basically paid stuff. Nothing makes sense. All of that drama. So there's a YouTuber called Think School, Ganesh. He does an interview with these guys.
Yeah.
And the questions that he asked Kejriwal and his entire team.
I've seen that interview, yes.
Man, that was something. And even better thing is, when every single time, be it Kejriwal or his team, Saurabh Bhardwaj, other people from his team, they were trying to give answers which were sort of an attempt to, divert the attention. Ganesh was pressing on it. No, sir, but iska answer do na, sir. There is that.
You need that kind of
Absolutely
people. Yeah.
वो मिसिंग है. और लोगों को भी ना वो पूछना आना चाहिए. अदरवाइज एजुकेशन किसी काम की नहीं है. Otherwise, your education is limited to you being capable enough to go out, find some work, and find money for your family's needs. That's all. You're not really serving this country.
So मैं क्यों बोल रहा था education के बारे में? In this context, if you see in Nordic countries, even in schools, they teach you how to validate the source of information, how to think laterally, critically, which are missing in Indian school curriculum.
Yeah.
So in a way, when you grow up, it's not, you don't practice them.
Absolutely.
During your formative years, or even when you're in college, so that even now when you are a voter, you don't ask. So that has been there since your school days.
Well, absolutely. I find it so funny. So think of it this way: when I was in school, right? This is back in 2005 or something around that time, when I was in 5th, 6th grade. Our teachers would make us write essays on, or debates would happen. What should be done to make India's education system better? And people would basically talk about how our system is more and more about rote learning and that needs to change and everything. Welcome 20 years later, still the very same. They're saying the same things. In this time, 3 times our national education policy and those things have been revised. But has the reality changed? Answer is no. We are still doing rote learning and everything.
Yes.
Worst part is, there's only one reason why I love my engineering education. I'm an engineering by my qualification. I don't treat myself like an engineer. I know nothing of that sort. But the biggest learning is that engineering taught me how to learn. Engineering gave me the confidence that I can learn anything. Right? Apart from, say, probably something, medicine or something like that. I can't be a doctor. But most of the fields I can get into anything and crack it. Why? I'm like, मेरे को आता है, मैं सीख लूँगा यार. Right? कि मुझे पता है क्या सवाल पूछने हैं, कैसे उसको शुरू करना है, क्या करना है. Engineering teaches you the art of asking questions or looking beyond what's out there to a layer or layer 2 deeper. I wish more of our education system taught that. I wish more of our education system taught people, okay, ये सेल होता है, ये माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया होता है, ये इसको ऐसे एनर्जी देता है, एटसेट्रा, बट ये क्यों होता है, राइट? और ये माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया ऐसा ही क्यों दिखता है, राइट? इसको ऐसे क्यों खाना, इसको मिलना पड़ता है. Nobody teaches that. Nobody asks questions. So चलता है.
Somewhere down the line वो curiosity दब गया है.
Yeah.
सब में. So you analyze GST a lot. So with the recent GST that has been rolled out, so how do you analyze it? Has it simplified our system, or
I guess.
there's a debate in terms of no, there's a lot of compliance issues that has cropped up. So how do you analyze the overall situation?
So it's again a game of compromises. Is the new GST system better than the previous one? Yes, by a big mile. But is it the ideal system? Answer is still no. It is not even close to the system that our government itself had proposed, which was a very good system, right? But then compromises came in the way and it could never really be implemented. So for example, in the ideal system, your petroleum, natural gas, everything should be, including your real estate, everything should be covered under GST. As a result of which, what happens is that, say, if as a company, because you're operating a whole manufacturing plant, you have to consume a lot of petroleum, diesel, natural gas, etc., right? But you're not able to claim the benefits of that in your end product, as a result of which end product ends up becoming costlier, right? If all of those are taken care of, the cost will naturally come down, but none of that actually plays out in India, right? So your power costs are not really effectively covered in the GST structure today. That has to be solved for. Same goes for all the other such cases. Sure, take the vices away, maybe. Alcohol pe mat karo, wo sab samajh sakte hain, because they are significant money earners for the state governments. But petroleum and these things have to come out of it, because they are key input materials for a lot of industries. And जब तक उसको GST के अंदर आप नहीं लेके आते हो, वो फुल्ली एफिशिएंट कभी हो नहीं सकता, कि आपका जो इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी स्ट्रक्चर होता है वो उसको कभी फॉलो नहीं करेगा. आई नो दीज आर सम कॉम्प्लेक्स टर्म्स, बट वो समझाने में ना वो पूरा अलग से 2 पॉडकास्ट लग जाएंगे, सो आई कांट गेट इनटू दैट. बट वन सिंपल वे टू पुट इट इज दैट अनलेस petroleum products are also, and real estate is also brought into the GST regime, the industries can't be efficient enough. And that plays against us in all respects. So for example, if a company wants to play on the export market, they are always starting on two foot backwards, right? Because the government is pulling them back with all these things. Ideally, ये सब हटाना चाहिए, but ये नहीं हुआ. And this is something that not just me, a lot of people from the industry have also talked about openly. But it's more about ठीक है, पहले वाले सिस्टम से तो बहुत बेटर हुआ ना, तो खुशी है उस चीज़ का.
So this narrative, I will not call it narrative, but what's your opinion on India becoming a developed nation by 2047? Do you see that dream realistic?
I would say this way. हम बोलते हैं ना कि मेरा भारत महान, मैं बोलता हूँ नहीं है, लेकिन क्या उसमें महान बनने का पोटेंशियल है? बहुत ज़्यादा है. Now the question is left to our people and our politicians, whether they really want to get it done. So in a number of segments, we are seeing a lot of course correction happen. That is a good sign. So for example, in shipbuilding, in chip making, we are now covering the ground, which is good. We are starting to make those differences to get there. बहुत सारे सेक्टर्स में अभी वो नहीं कर रहे हैं. एंड ऑफ्टन क्या होता है कि टू मोदी गवर्नमेंट्स क्रेडिट, उन्होंने बहुत सारे आइडियल पॉलिसीज लेके आए, लेकिन उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स का काम होता है, जो वो नहीं करते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, योर लेबर लॉ रिफॉर्म्स, 4 labor codes, very revolutionary. I wish those were implemented. यूनिफॉर्म मार्केट बनता, सब कुछ होता, किया ही नहीं. पार्लियामेंट ने पास किया है, प्रेसिडेंट ने नोटिफाई कर दिया है, बट इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं कर रही है गवर्नमेंट.
ये बीजेपी लेड स्टेट्स वो भी नहीं कर रहे.
वाई? बिकॉज ग्राउंड पे जिनको इलेक्शन लड़ना है वहाँ पे, उनको डर लगता है हमारे वोट्स उस पर आ गए तो, राइट? सो नहीं कर रहे. सो हो क्या रहा है, उसके बिट्स एंड पीसेस उठा करके अलग अलग स्टेट कुछ कुछ कर रहे हैं बस. दैट्स ऑल. दैट इज
द सेम विद ऑल द रिफॉर्म्स.
या द बेस्ट पार्ट इज द स्टेट्स व्हिच हैव made the maximum amount of noise about it, कि भाई ये बुरा है. Those are the states which have picked maximum parts of that and implemented it.
Oh really?
Yeah. So Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka,
non-BJP states.
Yeah. Why? Because they know कि जो बातें बोली है ना, those are industry friendly. And industry first states तो यही है ना. गुजरात हो गया, महाराष्ट्र हो गया. गुजरात तो चलो बीजेपी का ही हो गया, but पॉइंट इज सबसे ज्यादा उसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन भी ये लोग कर रहे हैं, बट बिकॉज दे अपोज्ड पैन इंडिया रोल आउट हो नहीं पाया कभी, तो बाकी स्टेट्स में भी हो नहीं सकता है बिकॉज पॉलिटिक्स केम इन द वे, नथिंग एल्स.
No, somehow they have kept politics and real things aside.
Yeah, and it's very simple यार कि it's more about right policies finding a passage, but वो हो नहीं पाता है because political compulsions. ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. सबसे बड़ा दिक्कत पता है क्या होता है कि अगर ये किया चीज़ तो अच्छा होगा लेकिन नाम मोदी जी का आएगा तो क्यों करना है, राइट? एंड अब यहाँ पे मोदी जी को भी थोड़ा बड़प्पन दिखाना चाहिए कि हर स्कीम के आगे पीएम क्यों लगाना है,
सीएम लगा दो.
अरे सीएम भी क्यों लगाना है, मेक इट ना कि इंडिया महान योजना नहीं होगा, इट विल बी पीएम इंडिया महान योजना.
It's more of a communication strategy which can be changed. Yeah.
So think of it this way. Government has come out with a beautiful policy called it's an actual policy called PM हर घर सूर्य बिजली योजना. Idea is what, that every household should get a solar rooftop. Great idea. Government is giving great subsidies for it. Right? Now there are certain states which are BJP powered, which have doubled down on it. कि गवर्नमेंट आपको, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इतना सब्सिडी दे रही है, उसके ऊपर इतना हम भी दे रहे हैं, लगाओ. रिजल्ट इज गुजरात ने तो किल कर दिया है. वेरेवर यू गो यू विल फाइंड अ लॉट ऑफ हाउसेज जिसके ऊपर वो लगा हुआ है. इंडिया इज नंबर 1 फॉर अ रीजन. देन देयर इज महाराष्ट्र, उसमें पिकअप हो रहा है. हरियाणा पिकअप हो रहा है. गो टू स्टेट्स लाइक केरला, कोई इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं कर रहा है. गो टू वेस्ट बंगाल, नो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. वाई? बिकॉज स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से लाइक सपोर्ट करें तो क्यों करें, हम कुछ नहीं दे, इनका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होने भी नहीं देना है. क्यों? नाम तो पीएम का आ रहा है, और वो नहीं करना है. यहाँ पे इट्स नॉट जस्ट स्टेट एट प्रॉब्लम, सेंटर का भी प्रॉब्लम है ना. क्यों पीएम के नाम से ही बेचना उस योजना को, राइट? पॉलिटिक्स इन्वॉल्व. मेक इट इंडिया एवरी हाउस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी योजना और समथिंग लाइक दैट. सडनली इट इज फ्री फ्रॉम दोस पॉलिटिकल एस्पेक्ट्स. नाउ इट बिकम्स मच मोर इजियर टू इम्प्लीमेंट. बट क्योंकि वो वैसे करते हैं तो फिर वो पैन इंडिया रोल आउट नहीं हो पाता है.
पीएम का नाम होना है क्योंकि अगला इलेक्शन जीतना है और सीएम होने नहीं
स्टेट
देगा.
में भी होता है, स्टेट में भी होता है. ममता बनर्जी स्कीम निकालती है, उसका क्या होता है? सीएम हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस स्कीम. वो सीएम का उसमें क्या लेना देना, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस स्कीम है, राइट? बट वो सीएम आता है. सीएम अपनी जेब से पैसा निकाल के थोड़ी फंड कर रहा है, टैक्स पेयर मनी है, बट वो सीएम आता है, राइट? एंड वो एक बार पॉलिटिक्स से बीच में आ जाए फिर तो वही होता है कि इम्प्लीमेंट करना है नहीं करना है, वो बहुत अलग डिस्कशन होता है. मेरिट्स के ऊपर तो होता ही नहीं है. That comes in the way.
Correct. So what are the 3 things in the next 20 years according to you that India should absolutely get it right?
I don't know 3 things here. There are tens of things. Number 1, of course, something that is very close to my heart is, you have to get your taxation right. It's not right now. So, for example, I believe that what we are doing is really wrong in terms of how we tax our people and companies. ठीक है? Why do I say that? हम जो स्ट्रक्चर जो फॉलो करते हैं उसमें ब्लैक मनी बनता ही बनता है और क्रेजी बनता है, और जितना बन रहा है उसका रिजल्ट हमें दिख रहा है कि अब हम एक इनएफिशिएंट इकोनॉमी. कैन यू ब्रेक दैट डाउन अ बिट? कैसे? थिंक ऑफ इट दिस वे. अगर आप एक कंपनी चलाते हो, राइट, आस्क एनी ऑफ दीज रिटेलर्स एनीवेयर जो कि अपना दुकान चला रहे हैं, अपना बिजनेस चला रहे हैं. दुकान पे वो बैठता है लेकिन दुकान के नाम पे, ठीक है, घर का एक मेंबर एम्प्लॉय होता है. भाई उनको सैलरी दिखा के यहाँ पे एक्सपेंस दिखाया जाता है. अच्छा, ठीक है. एक्सपेंस दिखा के आप क्या करते हो? अपना टैक्स का ये कम करते हो, राइट? इन अ वे यू आर इंसेंटिवाइजिंग दिस बिहेवियर बाय हैविंग सच टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर्स. क्या फायदा हुआ इस स्ट्रक्चर से? रादर वो इस स्ट्रक्चर को चलाने के लिए, इस इनएफिशिएंट स्ट्रक्चर को चलाने के लिए एक सीए को भी पे कर रहा है, बिजनेस सब कुछ कर रहा है, बिजनेस भी यहाँ पे इनएफिशिएंट बन रहा है, राइट? क्या फायदा हो रहा है इन सबका? इनएफिशिएंट बिजनेस बना, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, जब आप एक सर्टेन लेवल तक की इनकम पे टैक्स हटा रहे हो, विच इज अ गुड थिंग इन माय आईज, बड़े वालों के ऊपर लेकिन टैक्स आपने इतना भारी बना रखा है कि ऑलमोस्ट 42% ऑफ वॉट एवर दे अर्न इज सपोज टू बी टैक्स, राइट? वो क्या करते हैं? वो टैक्स चोरी करते हैं, छुपाते हैं, घुमाते हैं, राइट? वो घुमाते तो कहाँ है? वो बेसिकली ब्लैक मनी बन रहा है, देश के बाहर जा रहा है, अलग अलग एंटिटीज के नाम पे इंडिया आ रहा है, सब कुछ हो रहा है. Everybody does it, be it Birlas, Adanis, Ambanis, और इवन ये तो चलो बहुत बड़ी मछलियाँ हो गई, 500 करोड़ की नेटवर्थ वाले लोग भी ये सब करते हैं, राइट? ये ब्लैक मनी है. अब वो जब वापस आपको इन्वेस्ट करना हो ब्लैक मनी इतना जो आपका बन गया है, उसका आप क्या करोगे? यू कांट इन्वेस्ट इन दैट इन स्टॉक्स, बहुत मुश्किल है, राइट? आप उससे आप और बहुत सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट कर नहीं सकते हो. घुमा फिरा के 2 ही आपके वेन्यूज रह जाते हैं, रियल एस्टेट और गोल्ड. लुक एट व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टू रियल एस्टेट प्राइसेस. दे हैव गॉटन टू अ पॉइंट वेयर नाउ इंडस्ट्रीज डोंट वांट टू सेट अप इन इंडिया. व्हाई? जमीन कौन खरीदेगा? रिजल्ट क्या होता है? अब जो गवर्नमेंट्स हैं उनको आकर के वो महंगी ज़मीन खरीद के लैंड बैंक बनाना पड़ता है, जो फिर वो सस्ती लीज पे इंडस्ट्रीज़ को देते हैं। और जब वो देते हैं तो क्या होता है, लोग आके बोलते हैं तुम इतनी सस्ती में कंपनीज को 20 साल के लिए 30 साल के लिए ज़मीन दे रहे हो,
1 रुपए में दे दिया।
हाँ हमको तो मिलता नहीं है। वो इसलिए देना पड़ रहा है क्योंकि भाई जो असली रेट जो बन गया ना मार्केट में ब्लैक मनी आके, कोई खरीदने लायक नहीं बचा है, कोई उस पर प्लांट कौन लगाएगा, होगा नहीं। Result is, you would observe this, most of the big industries that are coming up, they are only coming up in government provided lands. Otherwise वो नहीं लग रहा है,
They can't afford it otherwise.
अफोर्ड ही नहीं कर सकते। अफोर्ड तो कर लेंगे, चलो पैसा है, लेकिन वो इंडस्ट्री का जो फिर ओवरऑल जो एक्सपेंस जो बनेगा ना, जो प्रोडक्ट तुम बनाओगे उसका प्राइस होगा, वो कभी कॉम्पिटिटिव नहीं बन पाएगा।
नहीं बन पाएगा।
आपको क्या लगता है, मैंने जो आपको बताया कि JSW जो प्लांट लगा रहा है उसके लिए 110% का SGST का जो वो दे रहे हैं रिफंड महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट, वो क्यों दे रहे हैं? इट्स बिकॉज कॉम्पिटिटिव नहीं बैठेगा।
This is part of the negotiation.
एग्जैक्टली आप जब ये सुनते हो कि ओके ये प्लांट लगने वाला है नोएडा में, सो फॉर एग्जांपल आपका अभी ये जो अभी अनाउंस हुआ है दैट गूगल इज टू बिल्ड अ $10 billion डेटा सेंटर हब इन वाइजैग इन आंध्र प्रदेश। उसके लिए इनिशियल फेज में आंध्र प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट इज गिविंग 300 acres ऑफ लैंड, बाद में और भी देगा। आंध्र प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट क्यों दे रहा है? मैं आप इन्वेस्ट करने जाए, हमको गवर्नमेंट देगी क्या ज़मीन? नहीं देगी ना। वहाँ पे आंध्र प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट क्यों दे रही है ज़मीन?
वो क्वेश्चन कोई नहीं पूछ रहा।
खरीद ही नहीं पाएगा वो। गूगल अगर खुद खरीदने पे आया, वो उससे बेटर बोलेगा मेरा कॉस्ट जो बैठेगा मैं मलेशिया में बनाता हूँ ना, वहाँ से भी सेम मार्केट को मैं केटर कर सकता हूँ। आपको मेरे यहाँ पे चाहिए तो इस कॉस्ट को आप मीट कर लो, कैसे करोगे वो आप देख लो। तो गवर्नमेंट आगे बोलती है ठीक है हम ज़मीन आपको दे देते हैं, पावर का आपको रेट हम रिड्यूस करके दे देते हैं, वो इसलिए करना पड़ता है। दिस ब्लैक मनी थिंग इज अ सीरियस प्रॉब्लम। एंड सबसे बड़ा इसका प्रॉब्लम आता है आपका रियल एस्टेट साइड पे। इट हैज़ गॉटन टू अ पॉइंट जहाँ पे prices have gone through bonkers levels, right? आप खुद एक बात सोच के देखो, ऐसा क्या है गुड़गांव में कि वहाँ पे सेम स्क्वायर फुट के एरिया का रेट जस्टिफाई होता है जो कि न्यूयॉर्क में होता है। हाउ डू यू कंपेयर गुड़गांव एंड न्यूयॉर्क? ऐसा क्या गुड़गांव ऑफरिंग दे रहा है कि गुड़गांव में किसी घर का जो रेट है वो न्यूयॉर्क से मैच हो सकता है? इन न्यूयॉर्क आज के दिन भी इफ यू आर बाइंग अ $1 million हाउस, it's like man यार $1 million हाउस गुड़गांव में तो कॉमन हो गया।
No, it's much cheaper. Some real estate prices compared to Mumbai and Bangalore. If you go to Greece, if you go to other European countries, much cheaper.
It's much cheaper. Everybody knows about this. And ये क्यों है? क्योंकि अंधा अमाउंट ऑफ ब्लैक मनी है जो घुमा फिरा के इसी रियल एस्टेट आश्रम में जा सकते हो, खरीदे जा रहे हैं। रिजल्ट क्या है? आपको एक क्रेजी चार्ट बताता हूँ। हिंदुस्तान में मोर देन 1 crore फ्लैट्स आर लाइंग आइडल। कोई नहीं रहता उसके अंदर, फ्लैट है बने हैं, लोगों ने खरीदा बेच दिया है, उसमें कोई रहता ही नहीं है। क्यों? ये काला पैसा था, ब्लैक मनी था, जो लोगों को कहीं तो टिकाना था ना। अब कैश के फॉर्म में अपने हाथ में रखोगे तो कल को रिस्क है। लोग फ्लैट खरीद के छोड़ दिया। अब 5 साल 7 साल कभी इस फ्लैट को बेचेंगे, जब जरूरत होगा पैसे का तब आ जाएगा हाथ में पैसा। 1 crore से ऊपर फ्लैट बनाए इसलिए गए हैं कि ब्लैक मनी को पार्क किया जा सके, ये नहीं कि उसमें कोई रह सके। व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इकोनॉमी आर यू बिल्डिंग? कितना इनएफिशिएंट है ये। वो पैसा कहीं और यूज हो सकता था, राइट? बट क्योंकि सरकार ने वो टैक्स इतना ज़्यादा लगाया, आदमी अपना पैसा घुमा करके ऐसे स्टोर करता है। अगर वो टैक्स ही नहीं होता, वो पैसा शायद इंडिया में और इंडस्ट्रीज लगाने में वो लोग लगाते, राइट? वो और इन्वेस्टमेंट्स करने में लगाते, शायद वो इंडिया में नए बिजनेसेस को अट्रैक्ट करने के लिए लगाते, शायद वो नए कॉलेज या हॉस्पिटल्स खोलते, बट वो कर ही नहीं सकते, राइट? सो दिस इज़ अ बिग प्रॉब्लम। टैक्सेशन को सॉल्व करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। एंड इसका बहुत सिंपल सोल्यूशन में लगता है जो कि डॉक्टर सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी बोलते हैं, जो कि बहुत रेडिकल लगता है लोगों को, लोग करेंगे बट इकोनॉमिकली इट मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस, व्हिच इज abolish income tax, tax the transactions.
It's too radical of a solution.
I mean, it's very simple यार कि लोग जो खरीद रहे हैं उसे आपसे टैक्स करो। गरीब आदमी कम खरीदेगा वो कम टैक्स देगा, अमीर आदमी ज़्यादा खरीदेगा ज़्यादा टैक्स देगा।
Brings inequality.
या लेकिन इनकम पे टैक्स मत लगाओ। अगर कोई मेहनत करके कमा रहा है ना तो उसको टैक्स मत करो। टैक्स देयर कंजम्पशन, जो ज़्यादा कंज्यूम करता है उस पर ज़्यादा टैक्स लगाओ, क्योंकि जो ज़्यादा कंज्यूम कर रहा है ना वो कहीं ना कहीं इकोनॉमी को, कंट्री को इनएफिशिएंट बना रहा है, राइट? उस पे लगाओ टैक्स।
कोई रेफरेंस पॉइंट है ग्लोबली इन टर्म्स ऑफ हैविंग?
नन दैट आई नो ऑफ, नन दैट आई नो ऑफ। बट जब हम ऑलरेडी इस डायरेक्शन में आ गए ना कि हमने मतलब कि 12 लाख तक के टैक्स पे मतलब कि कोई टैक्स नहीं लगेगा, 12 लाख तक की इनकम पे, मेक्स नो सेंस कि आप ये पूरा मतलब ये चला रहे जो स्ट्रक्चर, धीरे करके इसको एलिमिनेट करो। ब्लूप्रिंट दे दो, 5 साल 10 साल में हम वहाँ तक हम पहुँचेंगे, मेक सेंस देन। बट अदरवाइज दिस इज अ बिग प्रॉब्लम, क्योंकि ये एक प्रॉब्लम है जिसके ब्लैक मनी पूरा सर्कुलेट होता है, चलता है। ये हटा दो, पैसा घुमाने का, चुराने का कोई सेंस ही नहीं रहेगा, राइट? एंड दैट बिकम्स अ बिग बिग टेलविंड फॉर ऑल दी सेक्टर्स. पैसा रियल एस्टेट से निकल के हर सेक्टर में घुसेगा. इट मेक्स अ बिग डिफरेंस. एंड टू दिस वेरी डे मेरे को एक सेंसिबल आदमी ऐसा नहीं मिला है. सबने सुन के जरूर बोला इसका कोई पैरेलल है क्या यार, इतना ऐसा कहीं होता है क्या. किसी ने मुझे एक आर्ग्यूमेंट ये नहीं दिया कि यार इससे ये प्रॉब्लम आएगी, नहीं कर सकते. सो मेरे को जब वो कोई आर्ग्यूमेंट मिल जाएगा, मैं ये लोगों को बोलना भी बंद कर दूंगा कि डॉक्टर सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी का ये आइडिया है, बहुत अच्छा है. बट आज तक मुझे तो कोई ऐसा आर्ग्यूमेंट मिला नहीं विच जस्टिफाइज किए क्यों नहीं कर सकते, क्यों नहीं करना चाहिए. नंबर वन इज दिस. नंबर टू इज लेट अस बिगिन टू लव आवर इंडस्ट्रीज मोर. सो एक सिंपल सा कोई एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. गो टू साउथ कोरिया, गो टू जापान, गो टू चाइना, गो टू वियतनाम. मैंने 4 कंट्रीज का डेटा देखा हुआ है, ठीक है. आउट देयर ये चीज़ नहीं होता जो इंडिया में ये वाला मसाला जो हम करते हैं ना कि एग्रीकल्चर पे नो टैक्स या नो इन चार्जेस ऑन इलेक्ट्रिसिटी या फिर वेरी मिनिमल चार्जेस. हाउस होल्ड्स के बीच में इंडस्ट्री पे लगता है जो टैक्स. अब कहीं पे भी जाओ इंडस्ट्रियल जो एरियाज होते हैं, 14 रुपए पर यूनिट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, 15 रुपए इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, 11 रुपए इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. हाउस होल्ड का होता है 5-7 रुपये. और एग्रीकल्चर का होता है 1-2 रुपये, कहीं कहीं पे फ्री भी है. पंजाब में फ्री है, जैसे हरियाणा में कुछ एरियाज में फ्री है. वहाँ पे ये नहीं होता. चाइना में, जापान में, कोरिया में, वियतनाम में नहीं होता.
वो कोरिलेटेड है ना, वो ज़्यादा कमा रहे तो उसको ज़्यादा टैक्स करो.
नहीं, वो बात नहीं है. वहाँ पे वो सिंपल है कि यार तुम अपनी इंडस्ट्रीज को ज़्यादा अगर तुम बिजली का चार्ज लगाओगे तो उनका एंड प्रोड्यूस ऑटोमेटिकली कॉस्टली होगा. वो 2 जगह जाएगा. वो अपने लोगों को बेचेंगे डोमेस्टिक, तो इंडियन वो पैसा हमसे ही ले रहे हैं, ठीक है. जो हमें सस्ता इलेक्ट्रिसिटी मिल रहा है वहाँ पे कंपेंसेट हो गया, इंडियन हमारी जेब से जा रहा है. नंबर 2, जब वो सेम प्रोडक्ट लेके बाहर जाएंगे बेचने के लिए, हम तो कॉम्पिटिटिव ही नहीं होंगे. क्यों? चाइना अगर लेके जाएगा, जापान वाला ज़्यादा कॉम्पिटिटिव है. जापान वाला लेके जाएगा, कोरिया वाला ज़्यादा कॉम्पिटिटिव है. तो उनको कम्पीट करना है तो वो पैरिटी पे रखते हैं प्राइस. हमारे यहाँ पे इंडस्ट्री है, आओ 14 रुपये इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का रेट, लेकिन आप बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट लगा रहे हो. आप JSW आओ, आपको हम 7 रुपये में देंगे कंसेशनल रेट. आप गूगल हो, $10 बिलियन की इन्वेस्टमेंट ला रहे हो, अलग से बैठ रहे, आपको हम 6 रुपये में दे देंगे. ये होता है यहाँ पे. लेट्स एंड दिस डिफरेंशियल ट्रीटमेंट फॉर इंडस्ट्रीज. इंडस्ट्रीज आर गुड, दे आर नीडेड, एंड बहुत ज़्यादा नीड है क्योंकि हम एक ऐसी कंट्री हैं जहाँ पे दुनिया भर में फार्म मैकेनाइजेशन बढ़ रहा है. हमारे यहाँ पे नंबर ऑफ पीपल एम्प्लॉयड इन एग्रीकल्चर इज एट 17 ईयर है. यहाँ पे बढ़ते जा रहा है. नीड नहीं है फार्म्स पे, लेकिन लोगों के पास काम नहीं है तो लोग जाके फार्म पे काम करते हैं. काम करने में वहाँ पे कुछ होता नहीं है. पर्टिकुलर सीजन्स होते हैं, पॉकेट्स ऑफ टाइम होता है, 2-2 महीने का 2 बार, जब आपको बहुत ज़्यादा लेबर की नीड होती है. क्यों? मशीन्स बहुत कॉस्टली, आप लेके नहीं आ पाते आज के. बाकी टाइम वो आदमी क्या करता है? इधर ही इज आइडल, 2 महीने खाली बैठेगा, 4 महीने खाली बैठेगा. इज दैट बेनिफिशियल टू द इकोनॉमी? आंसर इज नो. या फिर वो शहर जाएगा, उस टाइम कोई लेबर का नौकरी करता है, सब करता है. किसको फायदा हो रहा है इससे? क्या कंट्री को इससे बेनिफिट हो रहा है? यहीं अगर लखनऊ के पास, कानपुर के पास बड़े बड़े अगर इंडस्ट्रीज अगर लगने लग जाएं, क्योंकि अब ये जो बेमतलब का उनके ऊपर आप जो टैक्सेशन कर रहे हो वो अगर खत्म अगर होने लग जाए, इंडस्ट्रीज लगेंगी, तो इन लोगों को काम मिलेगा ना.
ऑफ कोर्स
वो साल के अपने 4 महीने अपना एग्रीकल्चर देखें, बाकी टाइम अपने ये सब भी करेंगे. आज के वो नहीं कर पाते. उनका भी तो इनकम कितना बढ़ेगा? वो होता ही नहीं है, राइट. थर्ड थिंग दैट आई थिंक वी नीड टू एड्रेस इज आवर फीमेल लेबर फोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन. इट इज पैथेटिक. मेरे को इतना मतलब खुशी भी होती है, बुरा भी लगता है कि थिंक ऑफ तमिलनाडु. ऑलमोस्ट 45%, ये नंबर ध्यान से सुनना, 45% ऑफ ऑल दी विमेन हु वर्क इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जॉब्स इन इंडिया आर वर्किंग इन तमिलनाडु. देश में अगर 100 लेडीज जो कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जॉब्स करती हैं, उसमें से 45 तो तमिलनाडु में. बाकी स्टेट्स क्या कर रहे हैं, राइट? चाइना में 60% ऑफ द विमेन आर एम्प्लॉयड. Basically 60% of the women who want to work are employed, right? In India, that number is less than half. Worse, if you look at urban India, that number is close to 18%. Rural का number ज़्यादा आता है. Why? Because जब आदमी बाहर दूसरे शहर जाता है काम करने के लिए, तो फार्म को संभालने के लिए लेडीज़ को निकलना पड़ता है. अब is that the kind of employment we want to appreciate? कि हाँ चलो लेडी घर भी चला रही है और किसान का काम भी कर रही है जब उसका पति बाहर जाता है. इज दैट रियली एम्प्लॉयमेंट? नो. इट इज़ रियलाइजिंग कि भाई साहब हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है लेकिन घर और सब कुछ चलाना है, तो तुम वहाँ जाओ काम करने, खेत का मैं देख लूँगी. इट्स नथिंग टू बी सेलिब्रेटेड आउट हियर. वो नंबर जो है वो अपने आप में एक बड़ा स्लैप है कि यार हमने क्या इकोनॉमी बना ली. वी हैव टू एड्रेस दैट. फॉर दैट वी हैव टू गो द तमिलनाडु वे. सो मैं हमेशा ज़्यादातर चीज़ों में एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ, इधर गुजरात और तमिलनाडु, मिक्स ऑफ दोस. वी हैव टू क्रैक दैट मॉडल because they have done something very amazing. Let's not admonish them फॉर एनी रीजन और से कि यार वहाँ हो सकता है यहाँ नहीं हो सकता, लेट्स आस्क यहाँ क्यों नहीं हो सकता है, एंड वी हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ दोस थिंग्स. These are the three things I believe. Yeah.
If you have to invest 10 crore purely based on conviction and not data, which industry would you invest in?
I don't have an answer to that, to be very frank, because I invest across the board. And मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट्स वेरी कॉन्ट्रा थीसिस. सो मेरा बहुत सिंपल सा है कि जस्ट बिकॉज कोई सेक्टर भी बहुत बूम में वहाँ पे इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए, मैं वो नहीं कर. फॉर एग्जांपल सोलर में अभी इन्वेस्ट करके लोगों ने बहुत पैसा बनाया सोलर स्टॉक्स में, बीट वारी एनर्जीज, प्रीमियर एनर्जीज. मैं नहीं करता वहाँ पे. क्यों? वहाँ पे हर कोई पैसा लगा रहा है, मेरे को नहीं करना है. आई इन्वेस्ट कॉन्ट्रा, जो कि हावर्ड मार्क्स से मैंने सीखा हुआ है. हावर्ड मार्क्स मैंने सीखा ना, उनकी किताब से मैंने सीखा हुआ है. मेथड इज़ वेरी सिंपल. जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा सेलिंग हो और वहाँ पे अगर आपको कोई क्वालिटी कंपनी मिल जाएगी, यार यहाँ पे टर्न अराउंड हुआ ना, इट विल गो मैसिव, तो वहाँ पे हम इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. सो फॉर एग्जांपल आई इन्वेस्ट इन सुजलॉन एनर्जी व्हेन इट वाज 3.35 का रेट एंड एग्जिटेड एट 33.
पेनी स्टॉक था.
हाँ, बाद में 33 पे एग्जिट किया, 10x हो गया. उसके बाद और भी ऊपर गया, लेकिन मेरे काम का नहीं था, क्योंकि मेरे हिसाब से वो थीसिस जस्टिफाई नहीं करता. बट 3.5 पे कितने लोग खरीद रहे थे? 3.35 पे नहीं खरीदते लोग. उस टाइम लोगों को लगता है क्या खरीद रहे हो तुम, कचरा स्टॉक है. बट जब वो 1.5-2 साल के अंदर तुम्हें वो 10x देता है तो फिर वो अच्छा लगता है सबको, राइट?
मैंने खरीदा था 6 महीने में बेच दिया.
सो पॉइंट इज दैट आई इन्वेस्ट दैट वे कि आई एम लेस अबाउट कि हाँ मैं 10 करोड़ होता ना मैं इस इंडस्ट्री पे लगाता, वैसे नहीं होता मेरा. मैं हर समय के हिसाब से देखता हूँ कि अभी कौन से स्टॉक्स पे बहुत ज़्यादा पिट चुके हैं, जहाँ पे मुझे कुछ क्वालिटी वाला आइटम मिल जाए, तो वहाँ पे मैं बेट ले करके, इवन इफ साल भर कोई रिटर्न नहीं, मैं वहाँ बैठूंगा आराम से. एंड नंबर ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट जो ऐसे किए, JSW एनर्जी है, 2020-21 की अगर बात करें तो कोई उसको हाथ नहीं लगाता था. वाई? बिकॉज वो सोलर में इन्वेस्ट ही नहीं कर रहे थे, एंड एवरीबडी वॉज एंटरिंग सोलर, एवरीबडी वॉज बुलिश ऑन दैट. एंड उनके जो जॉइंट MD थे, आई एम नॉट श्योर MD थे या जॉइंट MD थे, हिज नेम इज प्रशांत जैन. अब वो वहाँ पे नहीं है, वो कुछ और कर रहे हैं. वो ओपनली बोलते वी वॉन्ट इन्वेस्ट. एंड वाई वॉन्ट यू इन्वेस्ट? उनको बोलना था कि यार भीड़ लगी है, कॉम्पिटिशन इतना है, मार्केट में रेट एकदम खत्म कर दिया, क्या करेंगे मांग उसके. प्लांट तो लगा लेंगे, उससे कमाई नहीं होगा. सो विल वेट फॉर दिस टू एंड. ये खत्म होगा, ये जो अभी पागलपन चल रहा है इनमें कि कुछ भी टैरिफ दे रहे हैं, कुछ भी ये लोग बिड कर रहे हैं, प्रोजेक्ट कैसे मिल जाए उसके लिए, ये खत्म होगा. बिड जब वापस ऊपर जाएंगे तब हम घुस जाएंगे. तो वो नहीं कर रहे थे, बट दे वर वेरी स्मार्ट. ये हुआ एक्चुअल में. हुआ क्या? सेमकॉप अपना प्लांट बेच रहा है, सॉफ्ट बैंक ने अपना पूरा इन्वेस्टमेंट अडानी को बेचा. क्यों? उन्होंने जो बिड जो किया था ना प्राइसेस, उसको बाद में वो लोग सस्टेन ही नहीं कर पाए, बिल्ड ही नहीं कर सकते, तो वो अडानी को बेचा. हर कोई अपना प्लांट वांट एग्जिट करके यहाँ से निकलने लगा. एंड फिर आपकी जो कॉम्पिटिटिव बिडिंग होती है, जो गवर्नमेंट के प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं, उस पर फिर बिड्स भी ऊपर जाने लगे. JSW आ गया करने, अब वो प्रोजेक्ट्स भी जीत रहा है, कर रहा है. एंड हमने जब खरीदा था वो 83 का स्टॉक था, आज के दिन देखो तो 550-600 ऐसे का चलता है, राइट? सो आई इन्वेस्ट कॉन्ट्रा. मेरा थीसिस का वो वाला प्ले नहीं है कि 10 करोड़ का तो यहीं डालूंगा, 10,000 करोड़ तो यहीं डालूंगा. इट्स मोर अबाउट कि मार्केट में क्या जो बहुत ज़्यादा पिट रहा है, लेकिन जो कि फंडामेंटली बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग है, एंड अगर ये टर्न अराउंड हो तो बहुत अच्छा जाएगा. हम वहाँ पे इन्वेस्ट करते हैं.
How do you see BRICS launching this shared currency? Is it really
BRICS is not launching any shared currency.
It is not.
It is not. ये एक फालतू का नौटंकी है, क्योंकि रशिया बार बार ये लाइन आके बोल देता है कि हमें वो करना चाहिए, और रशिया करना भी चाहता है, बट चाइना इज अगेंस्ट इट, सो इज इंडिया. चाइना इज लाइक मुझे ऑल्टरनेट करेंसी लॉन्च नहीं करना, मुझे युआन को बनाना है, युआन इज द ऑल्टरनेट करेंसी. इंडिया बोलता है भैया हम इन सब में नहीं पढ़ना है, क्योंकि यूएस हमारी मार लेगा.
कोई क्या मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन चल रहा है कि
मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है. थिंग इज ब्रिक्स के अंदर देयर आर 3 कंट्रीज व्हिच आर वेरी वेरी पावरफुल, रशिया, चाइना एंड इंडिया. देन देयर इज ब्राज़ील, देन देयर इज साउथ अफ्रीका, एंड अब वो कुछ और छोटे मोटे कंट्रीज को भी उसके अंदर ला रहे हैं. थिंग इज जब ये 3 जो मेजर कंट्रीज हैं, इनमें से कोई भी कुछ भी बोलता है, इवन इफ वो कंसेंसस नहीं है, उसमें इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं करना है, इट क्रिएट्स अ लॉट ऑफ फ्लटर्स. रशिया का व्लादिमीर पुतिन साहब अगर बोल रहे हैं कि भैया एक शेयर्ड करेंसी होना चाहिए, ऑल्टरनेट करेंसी होना चाहिए, इवन इफ चाइना एंड इंडिया आर क्लियरली हमने नहीं करना है, इट क्रिएट्स नॉइस. एंड यूएस में इट क्रिएट्स अ स्पेशल डिग्री ऑफ नॉइस कि व्लादिमीर पुतिन बोल रहा है, सो उसके ऊपर वो इतना बनता है, एंड देन पीपल टॉक अबाउट इट. लोग भूल जाते हैं कि हमारा RBI के गवर्नर, हमारे S जयशंकर जो कि एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर, वो ओपनली बोल चुके हैं हमारे ऐसा कोई एजेंडा ही नहीं है, हम कोई शेयर्ड करेंसी नहीं ला रहे. ओपनली लोग बोल रहे हैं, लोग उसकी बात नहीं करते. लोग आज ये बात बोलते हैं कि ब्रिक्स एक शेयर्ड करेंसी ला रहा है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है, राइट?
बिकॉज US wants to know कि ऐसा चल रहा है कि नहीं चल रहा है.
US doesn't want to know. It's Donald Trump who has a fear कि ये होगा एंड मेरे को इससे प्रॉब्लम है, तो ओपनली आके ऐसे धमकी वमकी देते रहते हैं. एंड मेजरली वो इसलिए क्योंकि इट्स नेचुरल ना कि President Trump is going to follow more about कि Putin क्या बोल रहा है than India क्या बोल रहा है, Brazil क्या बोल रहा है. So it's about
Correct,
that.
correct. So you work as at an intersection of finance, data. So how do you communicate complex information like this at your work, professional level?
Yeah, so what I'm doing professionally is very different from this. See, I'm very clear. I'm only good at 3 things in life. And उससे related जो भी कर सकता हूँ मेरे को सब करना है. So one is writing, other is research, third is investing. Investing मैं अपने लिए करता हूँ, right? Research मैं अपने लिए भी करता हूँ, दूसरों के लिए भी करता हूँ. जो first वाला which is writing, which can be used for multiple different things, वो मैं अपने लिए भी करता हूँ, अपने employer के लिए भी करता हूँ. So the job that I'm at, there I take care of entire brand and content, which helps achieve a lot of other outcomes. And उस पे it's basically a boutique a boutique investment bank called Dexter Capital. मैं उसका part हूँ. And what I'm doing on the content side, it's to build access to India's top 0.02%, which is what I call the classes of India or the decision makers of India. Because बहुत clear thought है. आप हिंदुस्तान की आवाम को कुछ सिखा नहीं सकते. जिनको लगता है ना कि मैं इन्फ्लुएंसर हूँ, मैं इतने लोगों को इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकता हूँ, घंटा नहीं कर सकते. हिंदुस्तान की आवाम सुनती है उस आदमी की जिसको उन्हें लगता है यार मैं इसको जानता हूँ, इसने ना कुछ मचाया है. फिर वो उनके फूफा होंगे, ताऊ होंगे, उनका बॉस होगा, उनका मेंटर होगा, उनका टीचर होगा. यही लोग होते हैं घुमा फिरा के.
Correct.
उसके लोगों को है ना, वो देखेंगे ना कि इसने बहुत पैसा बनाया है, वो उसको ज़्यादा समझते नहीं है कुछ. रादर वो उससे एनवी होते हैं. राइट. तो मेरा जब मैं मासेस को इन्फ्लुएंस कर ही नहीं सकता, उनको ये सिखा ही नहीं सकता, तो फालतू में मैं उनके लिए कंटेंट बना के टाइम वेस्ट क्यों करूँ? उससे कोई आउटकम नहीं निकलेगा. ये सुन के कुछ लोगों को बुरा लग सकता है, बट मेरा मानना नहीं पॉसिबल है. मेरा मानना है वो लोग जिनकी सुनते हैं, दे आर द डिसीजन मेकर्स ऑफ इंडिया, उनको इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं ना, उनके लिए कंटेंट बनाते हैं. सो दैट इज द ऑडियंस दैट आई मेक कंटेंट फॉर. आई कॉल इट डिसीजन मेकर्स ऑफ इंडिया. मेरा गेस्टिमेट कहता है इसकी तादाद लगभग 3 लाख लोग हैं. तो मुझे क्लियर है मेरा कभी 50 लाख फॉलोवर नहीं बनेगा. बन गया तो बहुत अच्छा लगेगा मुझे, लेकिन मेरे को पता नहीं बनेगा. बट इफ आई एम एबल टू से दैट ओके मेरे ये लोग को ऑडियंस मेरा क्रैक हो गया, तो मजा आता है. So for example, I have 1 lakh followers on LinkedIn. Almost 67% of those carry a designation of either founder, co-founder, CEO, director या owner. These are decision makers. और अच्छा खासा 10 से 20% लोग जो बाकी हैं, they are basically VCs or lawyers or CAs or journalists. These are people with access to the decision makers. तो वो मेरा ऑडियंस बन रहा है.
Quality network.
उनके ऊपर अगर मेरा अगर नेटवर्क बन रहा है तो उसके लिए कंटेंट मैं बना रहा हूँ. Then they'll bring me a lot more opportunities work. मैं उस एंगल से चलता हूँ. उनको इन्फ्लुएंस करो, उनके साथ एक्सेस बनाओ, उनसे रिलेशनशिप्स बनाओ. दैट इज माई मोटिव. उनको वैल्यू डिलीवर करो, उनको वो चीज़ लाके दो किसी को पता ही ना हो. राइट. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक आम कंटेंट क्रिएटर, उसका ऑडियंस मासेस है, नथिंग रॉन्ग विद दैट. वो मासेस को अगर बोलेगा ना कि पेटीएम ने ऐसा किया जिसमें ऑप्शनली कन्वर्टेबल डिबेंचर यूज हो, उसको समझ नहीं आएगा. डिबेंचर नहीं पता, ऑप्शनली कन्वर्टेबल डिबेंचर, कंटेंट कहाँ से बेचेगा वो. राइट. अब मेरा ऑडियंस लेकिन अलग है. उसको जब मैं लिखता हूँ उसमें आधी ऑडियंस को पता है डिबेंचर क्या होता है. उसको मैं बोलता हूँ ऑप्शनली कन्वर्टेबल, वो होगा डिबेंचर तो पता है यार, ऑप्शनली कन्वर्टेबल कौन सा होता है, फिर वो और पढ़ेगा, उसको मजा आता है. सो ऑडियंस ही अलग है, कंटेंट अलग है. राइट. अब एक आम ऑडियंस को तुम बताओगे कि आज से 1.5 साल पहले वो ETFs एग्जिस्ट भी नहीं करते जो आज के दुनिया का 10% और सारा का सारा बिटकॉइन ओन करते हैं. लोग बोलते क्या पढ़ूं इसमें, समझ ही नहीं आ रहा. 10% ETF बिटकॉइन ओन करते हैं, क्या बड़ी बात है. व्हेन आई राइट फ्रॉम माय ऑडियंस दे आर लाइक मैन दिस इज क्रेजी, इसको कहाँ से पता चला कि यार ये ETFs एग्जिस्ट नहीं करते थे, इसने निकाल लिया. सो ऑडियंस का फर्क है, उससे आपसे कंटेंट अलग बनता है. सो दैट्स हाउ इट वर्क्स.
How can people follow your work?
I'm on LinkedIn, and on my LinkedIn you'll find a link to all my works, my 2 newsletters, Bharatnama and Decoding the Dragon, as well as my WhatsApp community which has over 35,000 plus people. So yeah.
Quite honest the way you replied the last question in terms of what you want to do and in terms of clarity as well. So kudos and all the best, and thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Thanks boss, it was lovely talking to you. It was a good freewheeling chat, and looking forward to how people respond to this. Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thanks.